Okay.
We're rolling.
I'm rolling.
Man, that took a long time. I've just been staring at this cacao. Like
Temptation.
yeah, I'm having to like check into the part of me that gets grumpy when it doesn't get to eat the thing that it wants right away.
And then it's getting cold.
Yeah, I'm just like, this is whose fault is this? The sound's not working.
The sound's not working. Can we fix
This
it
is
very quick?
God, this is her
Technology.
fault. She's the worst. The sound's not
Right?
working. Yeah, it's amazing. Cheers. I love you.
Cheers.
Nice work.
I love you too.
And then I got this Easter egg. I'm going to share all my things on camera because
Oh man,
I didn't know that was happening. Whoa. This is going to be weird. There's going to be candy in it.
there's something inside.
No. Wow.
What is
Okay.
it? Wow, lentil cake.
Come on.
Lentil cake.
That's a thing? That's
It's a
Czech
thing in Czech.
Okay.
Kids
Now,
like that.
it's going to be the beginning. Look, I was in there at this little coffee shop, very cute, and I saw this cup, and I was like, man, if I could buy that cup, that's Willa's cup. And he's like, you can buy the cup.
You can buy it.
He let me buy this cup. And he had he's like, yeah, you can buy it.
That is
He told
so
me to stop.
sweet.
I bought this cup for Willa.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Willa's got a cup.
Let's get a
Today.
cup. And it's like such a sweet cup.
Isn't that a
and
sweet
it's
cup?
light
It's like
and
so good.
that is so good. She will love it.
No.
With some birds. That's
So I'm
amazing.
gonna set it out and then I get to show her. Put these little M&Ms in there, and then I'm gonna show her when I got the cup.
Yeah. What a beautiful day. Sunny, spring.
Where are we? When are we?
Where are we? We are. It's been almost 1 month. I think it's almost exactly 1 month that we are in Czech, and we are in České Budějovice, the town I was born, and
And that your mother was born in.
my mother was
Staying
born
in the
here.
apartment that your mother and you were born in.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
That's wild.
That's actually really wild.
Fucking wild, man.
The same apartment.
No.
Wow. And we just came back from Prague. A little trip in Prague.
On separate days.
And it was raining a few days ago, like crazy.
On the inside and the outside.
Exactly. It was a perfect. What's in the inner world, it's in the outer world. Yeah. How are you feeling in this moment? As you're sipping on this hot chocolate.
Well, maybe I'll set the scene a little bit more.
Please.
I think we just coming back from Czech. I arrived today. You came last night on a train.
From Prague.
Sorry, from Prague.
You're still in Czech.
You went to see your little brother. You took a train to see him, and then you came straight back to this place, and I stayed the night in Prague. I saw a friend of mine yesterday and walked the city. When you left that morning, I was feeling the deep need for freedom and space, as were you in some ways. And so we left, not in a fight, but in a real moment of like, let's not talk. We just need to go our separate ways and give each other space. And so I think now we're landing back here in this talk, both feeling good seeing each other, I think. And we had some lunch, and now we're going to share a little bit about where we are and when we are.
Thank you. Clock the bell went on. Yeah, it's interesting. I could feel in this moment like yesterday feels far away, but it was literally this last 2 days feels like that was a week ago, and that shows me usually
Or a
when I have
lifetime.
these, yeah, a lifetime. When I have these, I can call them like a jumps in the time, like a time jump.
Yeah.
I know something has happened, like I know I've closed something, even though, and there's smaller jumps and there's bigger jumps. Sometimes it's also, I feel like you think you jumped and you actually are still in the, you know, in the jumping phase, and then you land.
Those are
but
the smaller ones.
there's the
The
small
smaller ones are like in the cycle, and then the bigger ones are like, whoa, that's like a
Yeah.
bookend.
Yeah. But so I'm feeling the end of our trip here in Czech. I feel that in a few days we will take separate journeys. I'm feeling the work I came here to do, and you've been in it with me. And also, of course, the work that then was also between me and you. And I'm feeling empty, but also content. And I told you today when you asked me, I feel a lot of love and a lot of like gentleness, kindness. Yesterday I felt the need to look outside, out in the out world, and then, you know, smiling at the lady who sold me the train tickets and making jokes with her, and how that was important to me actually more than anything was this connection with this lady in the ticket office. And like how important it is for me to shine my light out and not just basically communicate with the mystery in a different way that is not so focused on
Us.
maybe on us. Yeah, I mean,
There's been a lot of, that's one of the main themes of our relationship, is this, even just like what is a relationship? What is a sacred relationship? What does it mean when two people come together to walk with each other through life? And I think that we've been having many conversations, but one of the conversations is, how often are we meant to be here looking at each other, and how often are we meant to be turned away from each other looking at the world? And I know I've spoken in like, basically I came into this with a deep accepting that I loved you, and that with a deep fear, that a real fear that came from me, from like, I don't want to enter any relationships because I don't know how to not have it take everything. And there's something really beautiful, because we have been focusing on each other and ourselves, and there's like so much work that can be done. But I think maybe, is it true to say that what each of us feel separately, that we might have finished is some portion of that work, and we're able to like take a breath and be back to back, have each other's back, as opposed to engaging with each other directly, which feels like, to some degree, if you love somebody and you're in a partnership with somebody and they engage with you directly from a psychic standpoint, or a actual with words, you almost have to answer. There's no way that you can turn your attention elsewhere if that person's wanting something from you. And it feels like maybe we've each gotten to, in the last 24 hours, feel the rest of the world around us, and feel the emptiness and the beauty that can be, and the safety that's there. Is that true? I'll speak for me. That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
it is true. I mean, you know, I feel I feel the importance of the physical space, and I feel also the importance of what we've talked throughout since we met, although our journey has been, I would say, in very many ways, I told you many times, I shared, like, I feel like we consciously are jumping into what the relationship would be in 10 years as we are at the beginning, and like tending what potentially, you know, it's almost like really making sure that the foundations are what we want them to be, and not just kind of starting to fall into something that then it's like too complicated, too late to come out of it.
Yeah.
And that's a new, and there is so like the fact that, you know, we met and we spent 9 months on the phone on a long distance. And so I also was like, wow, I was holding all these pieces. I was like, we've been together now physically 4 months, and we touched so many things. And it's like, I could see that it was almost necessary to be quite focused on each other and on what's important to us, like your daughter, my family, retreat, us
Sex,
traveling,
money,
sex,
power.
money, power. That was, so all of it needed us to be sort of doing it together while we looking at the pieces together. And now I felt yesterday was like, oof, okay, let's like, I feel like we've got some true beautiful understanding and foundation, and they will keep changing and build, like we will keep rebuilding. And I feel like these first laid rocks are solid enough so we can now be like, oh, okay, let's look outside. And as you said, I don't see us like doing the back to back, but like maybe just like opening to from here to like diagonally. Because back to back for me feels like going
like
two different
another kind of,
directions where I'm like, oh, I got your back, bye. But this is more like, yeah, there's the dance.
It's the dance.
It's the dance, and now the
Being able to
dance from the very close, slow dance and like drum, beautiful and, you know, intimate, and maybe goes more into like the space around and dance with the elements and other people, and then meeting in a different stage or a different corner of the room.
Which I mean, I think that it's beautiful. I think I want to bring home this piece just because this is a podcast about exploring relationships and humanity and how we do it. Not not because we know, but because we'll try. And it does feel like as you're bringing that in, what we did was engage in the most difficult topics at the beginning that we could feel. And I would say, like, I don't know, I brought that very consciously to us. And maybe because of the fear that I felt, or just the like, I know all the ways that this is going to take away from her and me and what we both are trying to do. And so let me bring all of those things into the mix right at the beginning and see how we do. It was almost what we did.
Yeah.
And I can also see, and in that there's an avoidant part of me that really just wanted to be like, let's see if we can dance together, really, but without believing that it could happen. And I just want to speak to your wisdom, because there was this, especially it was about 4 months ago, you were like, we need to spend some time in that face-to-face. And I think that you were calling for it. And a part of me really didn't want to do that. Really didn't want to give my energy to that. That part is kind of, maybe it's untrustworthy, but also like a little bit lazy. Like I didn't want to do it again because I've done it in relationships. I've done that work, and it's hard. You know, it's like there's a way where it's hard for me to love that much every day and every hour, and to like go basically like walk through the mud with each other and into each other and really go through that.
I just want to add, I also think it's because, I feel, and I know it, is because I think we're both all in. Or, you know, like we're both, and I can feel you when I met you, like, I know that when you are somewhere, you're like fully present with what is there, like, and that's your medicine, and also like a curse in a way, because I think you just give. You just, like, you know, you're like, yeah, you fully, I see that, like you're fully present. And I think that's not everybody, not everybody is just fully there and giving their full attention at all times.
Well, can I speak to, yeah, I'll put my language on that because it's good. It's like I probably learned about 5 years ago. I'm like, as I got to see how I learn and what I do, basically my magic or my medicine is to jump in. Like if life or a situation or something is a pond, I never, I don't know how to dip my toe. I only know how to decide to jump in. So love is much like that to me. And there's a part of me that doesn't want to follow my body there, basically. Doesn't want to, just like, no, I will stay out of that. But then I've also committed to following my heart. And so when my heart's like, there's a relationship here. I mean, I'll in a short, like I was celibate for about a year before I had one partner that almost like brought me back to life. But I wanted to essentially swear off intimate relating so that I could just love people as a friend. But then meeting you was sort of the recognition. I'd been feeling it coming for some months, so I wasn't completely surprised. But when it came, there was definitely a sense of, oh no, I'm going to jump into that. So then once I'm in, I'm like, I'm just in the swimming. So yeah, thank you for bringing that in. And I think that I would say I don't want to get too esoteric here, but to me, this is what I think that we've all done to some degree to be embodied as humans. I think that there's an element that we forget. This is a journey of forgetting, but I think that's how it feels to be born. I think that it feels like you don't know what the human journey feels like or what the embodied journey feels like. And I think the soul feels some sense of like, holy shit, I'm in now. Like and now what do I do? And you're like, well, try and swim. Like I have to figure it out. And I think there's a lot of ways that we're all doing that. So there's some part of me that just feels like I know there's a part of me that's good at being human. And it's that same part. I'm like, well, yeah, okay, this hurts. And it's because that's what we've all done once already.
I think your WhatsApp says saying yes to life or something like that.
Yeah,
so I'm like, yeah.
Okay, take us.
Yeah. No.
Get us on track.
Okay. I think I took us off the track with this, but for me it's that's why I love you. It's because I feel, I feel you're fully being here. And I can also sometimes feel that because of your light, and I am too, but I think I work with it differently, but me too, I'm full in and I jump and I don't really question and I follow my body and then I sort of have this realization later, like, oh my God, if I would have knew, like, and I usually know, like subconsciously feel it all, but I just take a leap and I'm so grateful for this quality of courage and really I think it's the heart that my journey of opening my heart is that basically not getting into the fear and the worry and then it comes later and then I need to alchemize it into love the worries and the fear and remind myself that all of this is love and my choice and beautiful but yeah, where do I want to bring us back?
Now, I would say that I think this is a beautiful topic that we can follow and stay with, and then maybe we can talk about these, or we can move it to these 3 things that you felt. So yeah, because you were sharing. Go ahead.
No, I felt so. We touched this really. So this fine line between. I know when I met you, you said, I don't want to merge with nobody. And I was really, so this like, now we feel this like, okay, now we are ready to look outwards and be in the life together, but not focusing on each other. And I see the relation, the partnership in the two, when it's the two polarities, it is so difficult because of the nature of how we learn to relate. And I think that's where we met and that's what you brought to me. And then I became also because because I had relationships, of course, and you had relationships, and I was, before I met you too, I was like, man, can we do this in a way that feels that I can remain free and loving, and you know, that it doesn't, and myself, and I start to have these questions. I was like, oh. And I kind of didn't want to go into a relationship either, you know. So I think we both were like, oh no, because we felt the love. And so I think it's so beautiful because we were like both meeting, and I could recognize that I'm meeting a person who is curious to see how else can we do things. Like, who's been reflecting and questioning, and who doesn't want to just blindly follow some.
Instead of saying blindly following, I'm just going to interrupt there because it's somebody that wants to do things. I'm going to say my language as they are meant to be done in with natural cycles, as evolution does them, as Earth does them, as opposed to how we are patterned to do them. Right. So how our ancestors did them. And to some degree our recent ancestors, because it's not how our distant ancestors did them. It's how we've been doing them since we've been colonizing each other and fighting each other and killing each other and raping each other and burning each other. And so we've learned a lot of ways of relating with each other that keep us from maybe being the one that gets colonized, but it doesn't always, or enslaved or burned, or like all of these terrible things that we've done as humans. So a lot of what I'm attempting to do in the larger scale, but also just in myself, is recognize those patterns and then not fall into them. But it's hard. It's actually really hard, because I can see this idea of merging, especially for the feminine, is it could be a lot of things, and I can feel the part of me that's like a good way to create beauty together, but it's a coping mechanism and a staying safe mechanisms to give one's power away to a masculine, to a man, so that you don't so the thing doesn't happen to you that has happened many times before in the ancestral line, which is you're with child and then the man leaves, or worse, you're outed from the community, or you're burned, or you're called a slut or a heretic, or like all of these different things. And so I think we have all of these ways that we've learned of relating. I bring that in because in Czech, I can really feel it's hard for the feminine to access desire. Like, what do I truly want for me and not for my man? And will he still be there for me? And maybe the answer has been no. So there's some then manipulative tendency that is just in the line that is there for really good reason. So what I said to you is I don't want to merge, and then I recognize now as I begin to trust, there is some element of that we're doing. Like I'm feeling you, and I'm taking care of you, and you can send me signals and I'll do them for you. And there's a certain amount of quote unquote manipulation that I actually allow but not for you to sort of try and get something done of your own that I'm not in line with. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it's
to me it makes sense.
To bring it all back, it's like it's not about I'm trying to do something different. It's for the sake of doing it different. It's that I'm just not going to do things in the patterned way that right now our world is doing them, because that is destroying the world, and it's destroying any possibility that our future ancestors have a world. And so in me, I'm hunting the patterns and attempting to break them in myself and then in the work that I do. And that means that, hey, that spell's not going to work on me because I saw it once, and now I'm doing the hard work of saying no to it. So, yeah.
Yes. It's beautiful. And because I know you, like I'm like understanding you and I'm thinking, okay, hopefully. But yes,
You cut it all out.
there's so much, right? Like there's so much you just said, and we could like probably talk about many things what you just said. But I do feel this, yeah, this. So I don't know what I want to share, what you just said. I think what I do recognize within myself a lot in Czech, and what I'm so grateful to you for is this realization that I'm not able to ask directly for the things I want. And actually that I don't even know, like, like in sex, it's like, oh man, like I feel extremely shy and uncomfortable to ask you for something. And I didn't know it until you literally like made the situation in a way that I had to.
And but
You know,
I'm
like
just going
you
to say one
staged
thing:
it.
you're not shy about trying to get what you want. You're only shy about asking for
Asking
it,
it with
and that's
words.
interesting. So, yeah, is it the same?
A little baby. That's also interesting, you know, when baby comes, I'm learning now that like my first reaction would be annoyance when they cry, and but then I'm actually changing into being like, oh man, like
Are they okay?
yeah, and it's like it's a little being that is cannot communicate other than crying, and then I start to be curious, and then I look, and sometimes I can see the kid is like manipulating with the cry, and sometimes they're really just unhappy and not understood, and so it's
Yeah.
being a parent, wow, a journey.
Yeah. There's, as a father of Willa, who gets this cup, there is, I mean, that kid may be unhappy, but you can tell in the cry. And especially
And the face,
you can really tune as a parent into the cry. Like I can tell when my daughter, especially when she was younger, when the cry was essentially like, I'm going to cry to get something.
Yeah.
And you know, like, or I'm gonna cry because I'm uncomfortable, and it's hard because they don't actually. We're not as big as a child gets older. They don't need the cry as much, and so a lot of times when you find older children that have the cry, they've learned to use it. It's a learned response because they're like, well, this is how I get attention. A lot of times because I don't get it maybe so often.
Yeah.
Like, it's how I get consciousness. It's how I get my parents to actually be with me and with presence. Because the rest of the time they're on their phone or they're doing this or they're doing that. And so the kid, yeah, it might be to get something, but it's really just presence. They just want some connection.
Yeah. Which brings me back now, an intermission, brings me back to the inability to ask with words, without shame, clearly of my desires or what I want. Mm-hmm. And it can be in many things in life, but I think it's the most difficult for me. It is really the sex, money, and then something like when it comes to like a power dynamic. Mm-hmm. And I did not see it to this degree ever in my life until we both came here and we spent this quite challenging time with my family, being in a in a travel mode, being new to get so all that. And I think like it was like 2 weeks ago when I first was like, oh, I'm gonna ask you something, and I felt like okay, let me let me ask you, and then I became like a little girl, and then I feel my cheeks became red, and then I couldn't still ask the way that I wanted with like just a full dignity and like, yeah, I
Like
desire,
like
a woman, like I
yeah,
desire this and I deserve that, and would you give this to me? Mm-hmm. And be okay if you say no, but like, mm-hmm. And you said about the feminine, and you know, I don't think it's just in Czech. Now I'm saying that, as I was saying, like everything is because the Czech people. But
yeah, no,
but I think it's kind of
that's why
it's in the feminine, and it's because of so much, I think, suppression, so much domination, and so much feeling unsafe. We learned it's a survival mechanism in some ways, and then it can be also extremely manipulative and evil. But I think at the very origin of it, it was because we were not equal. And so women could not just come and be like, hey, this is what I want, because she's not equal. So she has to get it in a way that, I don't know, it's through a gesture, and she have to use her magic, and she's learned to use.
It's learned. It's a learned response.
It's a learned survival mechanism, and in the Czech, I see it in my family line, especially the feminine. And I do see it in our culture, because there is this still very much ingrained notion of man is the one who provides for the family, woman depends on him, and so it just creates this dynamic. But then I could go further into like, it is also our individual journeys of being okay to be rejected. And
Yeah. No.
there's so much to it, you know. It's not just feminine, masculine. I think there's also a lot of men who have difficulty to say what they want because they don't want to be rejected.
That's the feminine in the masculine.
Right.
Like, because I would say and for me, that was a huge part of it, to just come into relationship with the outer feminine, with the women that I was loving. It just led me to the place where my own nurturer and nurtured one inside me was constantly looking for worth and self-worth and proof of self-worth outside of himself, herself. And so I think, in general, I don't think that there's one that's more broken than the other, but they have different ways of relating to the brokenness, the feminine and the masculine. And I think the feminine generally has to use her beauty and magic and ability to operate reality to get her needs met and the needs of those she cares about met. And that's what,
I wonder, because as the baby came in, and we just talked about that some babies cry later, and it's just a way of manipulating to get something. And I was just reading this book this morning, and there is this also like, so you start to use, I wonder how much of it is also just a learn, despite masculine, feminine, basically it's not being seen at the very beginning. It's like because I think it's our nature. Kid come and asks. They're like, hey, I want this.
I want that.
But if the parent doesn't recognize it and like stay with it present and be like, hey, what are you asking me? You're asking, okay, you want that. Okay, let's get you, or like, let's not get you that.
Or no,
like,
but there's something else that you're, there's some learning, there's time,
and
there's
attention. And so I think this avoidance of when the kid wants something and we avoid it, or we try to shut it down, or we shut, and often you can see that we're like, hey, shut up, like, basically you're not given any presence. And so there is maybe this like, and how, like basically we don't know how to express our needs.
No.
Can be this. I don't know. Can be this.
Okay, let's take it to the three things that you were feeling.
Yeah? It feels like a lot. I think I want to just take it to one.
Okay.
Because that was a quote that just...
Yes, tell me. Well, I'm just, like, I asked you how you were doing today. And you said there were 3 different pieces. But and one of them was this quote, and I was like, wow, it brought up a lot in me, this quote. And so
No, first, and we don't have to go into it, but it was this recognition of how much judgment is keeping us separate and away from each other, and my own judgment, and basically there can't be any understanding and love if there is a judgment. So there was like, I was holding this piece with judgment, and then the second one was really questioning myself again, like how can I turn everything into love because of everything that I felt and yesterday, and it's like, okay, because that's the alchemy and so important. And the last one was just a quote that popped up on my when I did meditation on my phone, and it kind of struck me and hit me. And it said, behind each criticism there is veiled wish.
Veiled. I had a
Veiled.
Yeah, behind each criticism there is a veiled wish.
Yes. And then I was like, wow, why did it hit me so much? And I think first what, for me the word criticism is a big one because I was never good enough for my father and I was criticized all the time. And so this is my trigger. Mm-hmm. So when somebody criticizes me, it just stirs up a lot. And the second one was like, I was like, oh, wait. So behind that criticism, behind the veil of it, there is a wish of that person. And the wish is to be understood because they're trying to they want something actually. And they often want to connect, they want to be loved, they want to improvements, they want to be closer to me, or they want to spend more time with me, or they want to be seen. Or so actually from this being oof, I'm being judged and criticized, and right away, there's this fight. For me, there's a fight response. Because that's
when a criticism comes in, you have a fight response.
Because I had to accumulate it with my dad for so many years until it exploded, and then I learned.
What does recognizing it as a wish do? As there's a wish with it.
What do you mean?
How does it change?
Oh, so now I am. So now when I looked at it, I was like, oh man, if I could change everything that I feel, because often it is just my perception that is a criticism, into a curiosity of what is this other person communicating through it? What is actually behind that? Instead of defense, being coming closer, be like, what are you trying to tell me? Without feeling the pain of attack or. So that was big.
Mm-hmm. And I might offer as well, you have a hard time criticizing. If I can, you don't like to just directly say what you don't like about another person to another person.
Me?
Yeah. And is that connected with? So then if you don't like something, or there's something that you see, you also kind of might keep it to yourself. Is that true?
No.
Okay.
No, well, actually,
So
I don't know.
Do you criticize people?
I do feel I had to work in my past a lot. I felt I was holding a lot of judgments. So I could be very, and I think judgment and, tell me if I'm wrong, but judgment and criticism, they kind of.
Let me say the difference.
Yeah, what's
a judgment is something you're feeling to you, and a criticism is something that you. So I think what this quote is saying is there's a gift to a criticism, because you're actually speaking the judgment to the person that you're having it about.
Interesting.
Which is a whole. It brings a whole new level, because you're here. You're actually externalizing the judgment. You're I'm giving this to you. It's a whole, so then you're sort of not keeping it for yourself anymore and just having this whole journey with it. It becomes a gift.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And it's a wish. You're here.
Right.
Because and instead of now just creating this whole story, you're just I was scared that you were going to hit me. And, you say it as opposed to being or when you're angry, I feel this way. You can, criticize.
But I wonder, because I also thought criticism is a negative thing somehow. It's not just hey, this is what I'm feeling, and it's.
Yeah, it can be.
And it's a description of what I don't like about you. But I feel there's a bit of
Can I make a criticism of you?
Yeah.
You breathe heavily at night. I could say that.
Yeah.
I could be hey, you breathe heavily at night, right about when I'm about to go to sleep. So that's a criticism, right?
And then, okay.
Yeah.
So that doesn't have to be bad.
No. not at all. And but in me, if I'm maybe I'm that's like I'm telling you that. If I'm like, you breathe heavily at night and you're keeping me awake. You know, there's kind of something in it. But now that I've put it out in the open, if it's creating something in me, you can be like, well, screw you. I don't want to sleep next to you anymore. Or I'm going to change my breathe. And maybe for me, I'm playing with it. It's here. It's out in space now.
No, there's something beautiful about what you said, which I didn't thought about. Like, it is externalized, so it is actually. Yeah. There is some kind of honesty in criticism where you actually spoke, and while, for example, judging or gossip, it's like behind, it's hidden, it's in with somebody else, but it's like internalized. That's interesting. I think I used to, because I've been criticized, I was also criticizing everything I saw around me, but I didn't actually. No, I would speak it up to my ex.
But that's judgment. Is that still behind? You're not saying it to the thing.
So it's like talking about.
Yeah, you're talking about it from
but
back here.
But it would be like a war, like this sculpture I don't like and it sucks, and then I'm good at picking up the things that I don't like and saying them and so I learn also to be looking at the things that I actually like instead of the things that I don't like. So there's also that in criticism where I think we can.
Yes.
Right? Some people are so good at criticizing because they only see the defaults.
I mean, critics, an art critic,
and
is
they only
someone
see the
who
problems.
Never sees some beauty of art, but they're just constantly, they can forever pick apart what's wrong with things.
Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely.
But I like what you touched on, that criticism could be also, critics are so important. To have a critic who comes and tells you gives you a feedback about your art, you need that.
Yeah, I would say it's like a critic that's a friend. I mean, what I'll say for me, what the quote brings up for me is, when you said it, I had, it's funny, we're starting this, I don't want to just open the door to endless criticism. So it's I actually want to let in a good friend in you and me. But what I want truly, what I've and I believe this, and I think for me is I want somebody who gives me honest criticism as soon as it's there. Mm-hmm. I want the people that I sort of give my own, give the power to use it well, to tell me what's not working so well about me. They're like, you are a hot mess and you don't see it. And I'm like, thank you for that. And the way that's maybe said is, you look messy. Mm-hmm. Your shirt is wrinkled, and it's been wrinkled every time. And so that criticism is the way that they're just here. Yeah. And then, but it can be a gift if I trust them. It's not a gift if they're manipulating me. Right. I mean, so for me, there's
making you feel bad,
or they're doing it for themselves. So there's something really, if they're doing it to make you, to get something. So
it's about where it's coming from. To move you.
It's about really where it's coming from. So I think if we're pure, and there is a wish, if I love you and I want you to be the best version of yourself, and I criticize you, I really do believe that then that critique is just the quickest way for you to become you. There's kind of no. If we're
received clear. In a way, and if it's clear, yeah. No, I felt that too. I was because a lot of the time I could say, "Wow, John is criticizing me," and then.
I don't mind your breathing, and that's never been the thing. Do you want to share a little bit how you feel criticized by me?
I think that's for another time.
Okay.
But I think this quote really helped me to again be oof, because I actually don't believe inside of me or criticize me. I am actually feeling this quote within us. Mm-hmm. I'm whenever you speak to me, and I could be oh, he's hard on me, he's criticizing me. If I really sit with it long enough, I'm oh, there is a desire to grow together. There's a desire to be understood. There's a desire to be seen. So that's for me, when it comes to the two of us, this quote was powerful. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Maybe the thing, and I know we're a little bit all over the place, and some of this will be cut out. This one will be.
Yeah, but we can also try to.
We'll bring it together. But what I will say is, maybe what I'm learning in this with this piece, because I feel it too, and I think there's a lot to explore here. But here's what I'm feeling: in a criticism, it feels true to me that a person's core intention is brought through in the criticism. So, what I will say is my desire for you, to the degree that I know it, isn't to control you to get anything. My desire for you is for you to be as much of you as you can handle. Like it is like my desire for you is to see you be you. And then any criticism, to the degree I'm clear with that, I could be making up a story for myself, but that feels true to me. Any criticism is felt as that. It's a wish for you to, that's what I hope that I'm doing. If there's something that's criticizing, is because I'm never actually trying to get you. If I am trying to get you to do something for me, then I'm sort of already out of alignment with myself. What I'm attempting to do with the criticism is to be like, hey, you're not clear. I don't need that from me. I'm just like, be clear in life. And it's felt like be clear for you. Does that make sense? And I would say that if somebody's then maybe walking through life, attempting to, let's say, for me, I'm at a different part of my life. Like maybe I wanted to walk through life and get as many women as possible to see me. I'm not like overtly stating that, but maybe that's my goal. That's my main goal, is to walk around or be seen as the smartest one in every room. And I'm, so I've gone through these journeys. So let's say that my journey is to try and get every girl to look at me. Then maybe a criticism would, I think, be felt if I'm delivering it to somebody with that. Like I'm actually trying to get something. I'm trying to meet my own needs in myself with the criticism. I'm criticizing my best friend who's better looking than me. And there's a way where I'm actually like telling myself, I'm making him small to make myself feel bigger to myself. And so the criticism is directly related to what we are walking, like what kind of prayer we're walking with.
It's beautiful. I think I will sit with that, and I will be like, okay, John's intention when he used criticism is for us to be the desires to become more close, or like be more loving, or be more understood. Because I think, and I want to sit with this because I can feel that, the desire from you for me to be more me. And I think there's also, because we're human, there's a little bit of a coloring of a desire also that is yours.
So what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to do in that, and I'll say the dark desire that I have in that you be more you, I'm more free. So if you like, there's a way where I would say my criticisms might be driving us apart and I think that this is my own journey. So I'm kind of trying to give myself more space, maybe. And I think that's your and I's journey where I'm finding how much I love being close to you, but it also still makes me uncomfortable. And so my criticisms, because I'm very imperfect and very much on my journey, and my journey is somewhere in there.
And you love receiving criticism, I can see that, and I don't give you any.
It's my favorite part. My whole life has been colored by nobody telling me anything about what they really thought about me. It was all, and it's a very American way, so everything was veiled. It was fake. I got fake truth at all moments. Like, yeah, I'd love to have you over for dinner.
It's beautiful. We're such opposites, and I've got just opposites. Criticism.
Yeah. I got no criticism, and it's the thing that I crave for. There's almost I didn't feel alive because I could feel all the.
It's a feedback.
All the fake.
Actually.
Well, and it's fake. So then I'm feeling when somebody's saying, "Hey, I'd love you to come over for dinner," and then it takes so much energy to be like, "Is that true? Is that like what's behind it?" And you have to. It's a bit of an endless thing, and this is it's a lot of the American, or maybe the consumer journey right now is
The pretending.
It's pretend, yeah. It's like, I'm so happy to see you. I love you. And it's like, what does that mean if it's not actually ever been fully felt? So my journey is that. And there is a way that my journey now is, it's to be here. It's to be in life with people. It's to be in relationship, essentially. Because there's definitely a part of me that wants to leave and go to the mountains. Leave and go swimming. Leave and just go do anything alone. Even while I really want to be here with you, with the person that I love, or with Willa, or with anybody. There's this part of me. So that's maybe what I'm trying to get. The underhanded thing that I'm trying to get with criticisms is like, hey, why don't you spend more time, and like I can do it and almost try and create something so that I get to receive that.
Interesting.
No.
Well, it's beautiful. I'm learning in this more about you, and this is a piece, I think, definitely. And the fact of like the polar opposites of like you've never received any of it, and I think we really talking about criticism as a feedback, as a positively negative feedback. That's how I would maybe almost define it. Like,
is it ever negative? Is maybe what we're asking.
I don't know. Right? Like that's also
it's either just true or untrue. It's about me, or it's about, but it's just like the criticism itself is showing truth.
True.
And I think that's the wish.
Untrue.
It's you're basically like, if I give you criticism, you see me. You can be like, well, you're trying to get something for you, or you're trying to give something to me. But I've made myself seen, and if you never give criticism, if you only give falsities, then you're never actually showing. You're never revealing yourself to anybody. You're kind of keeping your cards close. It's like a poker game. You're like, well, I'm always going to keep my thoughts to myself, my judgments to myself, my projections to myself, and I'll sort of dole them out.
It.
Yeah.
It's just.
It's my
You're talking, and then I think I'm understanding.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. I think we're just. That's a big piece, and I think I want to close it here because otherwise it will become.
We're gonna cut a lot of this out, love. But yeah.
Probably not. But...
Okay. I'm just talking with the assumption that
I will clean it.
Yeah, he'll make this better.
Let's see.
Oh no.
Making love.
Yeah.
How much of it do you want to cut out?
Yeah, exactly. Oh man.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank
I feel complete.
Okay. Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.